52 members of his team by being so selfish, knowingly being so selfish.
I agree. Kind of a one-off thing. It'll be on his career low-light package. I'm sure it'll be a fun film session, but I think it helps that the Bills still won 43-23, and it didn't really come into the outcome of the game. But the Jets are effing terrible. Geno Smith gets pulled after throwing 3 picks. Michael Vick comes in and was equally as terrible. The Jets are 1-7. At the press conference today, Izek says that he's basically failed at his job, and really has. I mean, Rex Ryan is a great defensive coach, but when he's got guys named Salim Hakeem playing his third defensive snap, wearing number 15 as a defensive back, there's something wrong.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
The whole lack of talent that this Izek put around Rex Ryan, it looks like a frame job. It looks like they set him up to fail. Because Rex Ryan, when he was winning and getting to AFC Championship games back when he was fat, maybe he just needs to get fat again.
That happens to a lot of people in the public eye. Once they lose weight, they lose whatever made them special.
Yeah.
Look at, what's his name? Jonah Hill. I mean, he didn't have an extra 50 pounds around his middle. He's just not a great actor. It's just the truth.
So you think Jonah Hill should go back to the fro and then the heavy setness like in Superbad?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, he doesn't have to play the same character all the time, but I don't know, people perceive bigger people to be jollier, and maybe it just worked better for his personality in the types of roles he was taking. That's all. Just my opinion.
All right, so Claire says Jonah Hill is Rex Ryan, podcast stenographer, write that down. But back when Rex Ryan was getting to AFC Championship games, he actually had talent on that team. He had, the late in his career, LaDainian Tomlinson. He had Sean Green when he was actually good. He had Braylon Edwards. He had Santonio Holmes at good years. He had Cromartie. He had Revis. He had actual talent, and this team is garbage.
This team is pretty deplorable. I mean, now they, I'm sure we'll touch on it at some point, but now they have added Percy Harvin to the mix. Yeah. Whew. Interesting choice there. I'd like to get your thoughts on that as a matter of fact.
It seems desperate. It seems like a last gasp from Izek, because I think Izek's trying to save his own job now. So now he pulls off this big deal. They had the cap space, even though Percy's like, was it $7-8 million? They had $20 million in cap space. And it just seems desperate, like trying to stick a square peg in a round hole. Okay.
What do you think about Percy Harvin, though?
I think he's very talented. I don't think he's a good teammate. I think he's very bad for locker room chemistry. I think he will be like the mercenary type. I think Seattle got it right last year, incidentally, even though he was hurt. You just use Percy for one big game. You get one kickoff return from him, for a touchdown, even though you didn't really need it in the Super Bowl. And that's it. You pay X amount of millions of guaranteed for that. And I think New York is a little bit more circusy, so they might actually be compatible with Percy and his personality, but I don't know. It's probably just a matter of time before Percy decks Eric Decker in the face.
Yeah, I don't see him tolerating that.
And that's unfortunate, because Eric Decker is a good-looking man from Cold Spring, Minnesota. I don't know if you know that.
I did not know he was Minnesotan, but he's
attractive.
He's attractive. He's a dork, but he's attractive. So, whatever.
Yeah. So, I don't know. The next coach that comes in, because Rex is going to get fired. I think this is finally it for Rex, which is unfortunate, but I think he's going to do awesome in television.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely has a future in TV.
I think the next coach does have to come in as an offensive mind and actually get some production. See if Geno Smith is actually the guy. They're not married to him. He's only a second-round pick. They can go into the draft. Marcus Mariota, hello.
Stop trying to take my QB.
Well, the Texans aren't going to be bad enough where they're going to be picking at the top end of the first round. I'll give you that much.
Maybe they leverage the farm. Who knows?
No, that doesn't seem like Rick Smith.
No, it really doesn't. But maybe it's Rick Smith's last chance to get it right.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he has to pull an Izek and gamble to save his job, too.
Exactly. I mean, there's enough chatter around here of people who do not believe that Rick Smith deserves to be in the position he is in after all this time. Plenty of people. He might be forced into it. I don't know. I'm just saying the possibilities exist.
Well, I know. You just need to start Ryan Mallett, and here we go.
Oh.
After the bye, giddy up, week 11, Mallett time. Dun, 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 dun. Mallett time. All right, that's.
I think that as long as the team is in playoff contention, that Ryan Mallett does not start. They do not take a chance with an unknown, is what I believe, unless Fitzpatrick really struggles.
All right, but
I know I make too much sense. You can't ignore my sense.
All right, so the Sammy Watkins talking point eventually gets back to the Texans because it's all about you, Claire.
It really is. You know, I put a lot of thought into my thoughts, and so I feel like I should share them with the world. The world needs to know what my opinion is and how everything connects to my life. I'm just kind of being sarcastic.
Roethlisberger SMASH, as the pride of Pittsburgh, threw for 522 yards, which is tied for fourth most in NFL history. He's the first quarterback to ever have two 500-yard passing games in his career. Pittsburgh did get the ball back against Indianapolis with 3 minutes to go. Roethlisberger needed 32 yards to break Norm Van Brocklin, the Flying Dutchman's NFL record, 554 yards passing in a game. But nah.
Hey, you know who else is on that list?
Who?
Warren Moon is on that list, and you know who else?
Who?
Matt Schaub.
Really?
Yep.
How many yards did Schaub throw for?
Over 500.
That's gross. Who
totally
was it against?
Disgusting. I don't even remember. It was
Western
in 2012.
Michigan?
No, it was in 2012.
Maybe Eastern Michigan, because they're terrible.
I don't know, man. It was, but anyway. So I was throwing that out there because I saw that and I thought it was interesting that all those QBs were on that list. Anyway.
Is Cody Carlson on that list?
No, he was not. But I find it also odd that both the Steelers and two teams in the NFL had 51-point totals this weekend, which is a kind of an unusual number given the hugeness of it.
Yeah, a couple of these games look like college scores, and it's quite an anomaly because after the first half of some of the early games, I tweeted out that the NFL needs to put in more rules to help the offense because there was a lot of really crappy football first half in the early games.
Yeah.
But then this one, we didn't say the score. Steelers beat the Colts 51-34. Roethlisberger did not go for the record because he's not Peyton Manning. Something tells me Peyton Manning would have been a dick and just went for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he was stolen more touchdowns from Ronnie Hillman.
We're not running the ball ever. Omaha, bitches, Omaha.
Have you ever seen that NFL Films clip? I think it's from the Colts Americas game where Peyton Manning, Jeff Saturday, they're playing the Rams on Monday Night Football, and Peyton Manning's mic'd up. And they get down inside the 5-yard line. This is back when the Rams were good. And they threw the ball 3 straight times instead of running it, and then they just kick a field goal. Jeff Saturday gets pissed off and gets in Peyton Manning's face. He's like, we got to be running the ball. And then Peyton Manning gets back and is like, shut up, Jeff. I'll call the plays. When I call a play, you block. That's your job. And it's kind of funny. It's very standard Peyton Manning.
Well, he does have that kind of dictator sort of persona where it's like, I'm a nice guy, you know, but really in real life, when you really get to know him, it seems like he'd be kind of a dictator.
But it's acceptable because he wins.
Right.
Well, if
people want to play with him, so, I mean, I guess it's really not a problem, is it?
If Ryan Fitzpatrick had the same attitude, oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't necessarily win. He puts your team in bad situations sometimes.
Actually, if Fitzpatrick did adopt the Peyton Manning persona and aura, maybe they would win.
Maybe, but then he would still have to not screw up when it mattered because there's that trait of QBs that keeps them from being good. And it's, do you screw up when it matters? And Fitzpatrick has that gene.
I guess Fitzmagic should have just gone to Yale like a real person.
Right?
Yeah. But damn it, this is all right. So we're getting back to the Texans again. That one was my fault. But
that's totally your fault.
Roethlisberger yesterday against the Colts, 6 touchdowns, no picks. First time that's been done since Y.A. Tittle in 1952. So that's going way back in the day. Norm Van Brocklin, by the way, first Vikings head coach.
Was he now?
He was terrible. Heath Miller, you get a touchdown. Antonio Brown, you get 2 touchdowns. And something called Martavis Bryant, you get 2 touchdowns. And it was awesome. Also lost in this whole thing. Luck threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns himself.
Yeah. Luck didn't have a bad day himself. So, I mean, yay, Steelers, good job beating the Colts. That helps me sleep better at night. But, I mean, Andrew Luck is no joke, really. And Dwayne Allen's becoming his guy, and they're doing good things together, and it's not very happy for me in my future in the AFC South.
Hilton will haunt your dreams.
We totally brought it back to the Texans. I brought it back to the Texans. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
you
totally
did that.
Yep, I did it totally subconsciously.
But this whole Indianapolis defense that had been very much lauded, and so Chuck Pagano was involved. They're calling him, it's the 2000 Ravens all over again.
51 points.
Yeah, and it was an all-around failure, too, because Le'Veon Bell and LeGarrette Blount got a little loose in the running game as well. And this is very tragic for me because it always comes back to fantasy. So I Kaepernick on bye this week, so I was streaming a free agent quarterback, and it was either Roethlisberger or Ryan Tannehill. Now, Tannehill didn't have a bad game. He put up like 16, 17 points, but Roethlisberger could have been a 40-burger. Gross.
But you started Tannehill?
I did. I picked up Tannehill. I still won. So, but you know how it is with fantasy football. When it comes down to tiebreakers, who makes the playoffs, who doesn't make the playoffs, it's all about point totals. So this one could have been big.
Well, you're going to need that because your record's going to be like 2-8.
That's also British.
Oh, okay.
Impression. Yes.
Oh, good. That was nice.
All right, 2 stories to finish up our second segment. We're running a little bit behind because we were talking about cake, all about that cake.
Cake is good.
We'll have to bring back it. What about pie? You a big pie person?
Not really. I like cake better.
How do you not like pie? You're from Texas.
Pie's okay.
Coffee and pie.
I'm picky. You know, when you have a good pie,
picky? Really?
Then there's like
I would
pies
never have guessed.
Aren't nearly as good. Peach is delightful. Peach is the best kind.
What about cobbler? Damn it. Maclin, Jeremy Maclin scored 2 touchdowns after bleeding from his ear in a first-half collision with Patrick Peterson. Peterson was concussed on the play and took a shot early in the game, returned, scored 2 touchdowns, had a beast of a fantasy day. Also took kind of a nasty, kind of awesome-looking swan dive over the Gatorade table.
Yeah.
He was fine, but in a league so obsessed with safety now, how does this look? A dude comes off the sideline after helmet to helmet, bleeding from the ear like he was just around when a landmine went off.
Right.
And then they just toss him back to the game. He plays fine, and they're like, oh, whatever, nothing to see here.
I mean, every week there's something that makes you question the logic of the whole entire league. But really, the dude is bleeding from his freaking ear. Isn't that like a huge sign of trauma? Isn't it? It's not good to be bleeding from your ear hole. So, I don't know. I can't explain it. Every week there's something crazy.
Well, the team, this is made up, but the team doctor said that he passed the bleeding from the ear protocol. Get back in the game. That's probably how it was, too.
Get back in the game. Yeah.
Yep.
Would you doubt it? I wouldn't doubt it. No. So, the dude laid on the ground for a while. He got up, went to the locker room, and his ear's bleeding, and you clear him to go back in the game. So, whatever.
This probably isn't going to have an immediate effect, but some Eagles fan or Cardinals fan's mom watching the game with her 3 sons, and they see that play, and then mom was like, you're playing soccer next fall.
Yep.
So they got to think about the long-term ramifications. I mean, everything is great now, well and good, and I know, yes, they throw out that this is the safest time ever in history to be playing football, but having things like this in today's age with all the media.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, the little league people who run those leagues emulate, or at least down here they do, emulate like the persona of the NFL as opposed to necessarily what the safest route would be. They're more, let's all raise these kids to be tough guys and circumvent the rules as much as we can so we can make them be tougher, better ball players. And, yeah, I mean, you're giving people with power to make decisions about people's lives, these children, you're giving them the wrong impression. And